Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Phil Anaya. A scary situation in the heart of downtown as multiple shots were fired from a hotel that sits along the Riverwalk. Police recovered a number of shell casings along the Riverwalk as well. Thankfully, though, none of those bullets hit anyone down below. Eyewitness News reporter Zach Briggs tells us how police were able to end the situation.
The Riverwalk is typically packed on any given day, even during the pandemic. But around midnight Saturday, all was quiet until something loud broke the silence.
There's a gentleman shooting out of a hotel.
According to San Antonio police, officers rushed to the Hilton Palacio del Rio to several reports of gunshots coming from one of the balconies facing the river.
He located a shell casing Riverwalk.
Now it was a matter of pinpointing which room on the 11th floor.
Copy that. It's going to be 1114. There's somebody staying in that for sure.
Police say they called the individuals using the hotel phone and asked them to leave the room. Officers took 2 people into custody without any issue and ended up jailing a man in his 30s. Hotel management released a statement saying last night's event was certainly very disconcerting. We are thankful for the officer who saw what was happening and the quick response of our police department to identify the individual and take him into custody. Fortunately, no one was hurt, and the event was handled very quickly and effectively. And as for the suspect, his charges include discharge of firearm in certain municipalities and unlawful carrying weapons. Zach Briggs, KENS 5, Eyewitness News.